Hi, everybody, and welcome back to Cat's Track. We post an interview with an amazing Canadian each weekday for your daily inspiration. Today, I would like to introduce you to my dear friend and now colleague, Christopher Friesen. Christopher was born in Medicine Hat. He's been with his loving partner, Sydney, and they currently live in Edmonton. Christopher is passionate about mental health awareness and advocacy, music, building community, and of course, good food and wine. All the reasons that you can see why I love and adore him. Friends, you will find his full bio attached. Christopher, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me, Catherine. It's an honor to be on your webinar with you.
I feel the same. Maybe start with the questions that you know so well.
Absolutely. I'm happy to answer.
Awesome. Okay, so tell me, what's your greatest challenge in the last 2 months? What's been the greatest challenge?
Yeah, I've been finding that my greatest challenge has been staying motivated. I was thinking about this a little bit yesterday, and I know that for myself and a lot of people included, we've all had to transition to this new work from home, 6 feet apart kind of lifestyle. And while it's nice to be at home and to be in a familiar setting and kind of have a little bit of a break here and there that we've all been really craving, it's also hard to stay motivated when you're kind of thrown into this new unfamiliar environment and you have all these distractions around you. And especially with a situation like the pandemic we're in, I was reading an article this morning that was talking about how anxiety is kind of creeping in as an everyday part of our lives while we're unsure of where the future is going and we're unsure of what kind of our solutions to this new way of living we find ourselves in. We're unsure about those solutions. And so the anxiety that starts to creep into your life starts to manifest in ways you don't necessarily notice, like, oh, I'm losing sleep, or I'm not really feeling the energy I normally feel, or I'm tired all the time. And then that kind of starts to exacerbate other problems, our mental health and other things that we had been, very careful to keep on top of in our lives now kind of start to all slip through the cracks. And so I think that it's been difficult to stay motivated in light of kind of that anxiety that a lot of people I think are experiencing right now. And I know for me, that's been my biggest challenge. Is there's a lot of things that are great and a lot of great things to look forward to, but just to make sure that you're still taking care of yourself and taking the time you need for yourself to make sure you're motivated and happy and good to go, I think is still pretty important.
It's hard to do when so many are just surviving, though, isn't it?
It is. It really is. I know that I'm heavily involved with the music community here in Edmonton, and I know that for a lot of us, it's been a shock to see, that the thing that we have spent our whole year working on, all of these rehearsals and concerts and time invested, and suddenly it's canceled because it's too much of a risk. And then for a lot of us looking into the future, it's so hard to plan long term, not knowing, okay, well, is it going to be safe for groups to congregate again come fall? Do we have a concert season we're looking for, or are we kind of just biding some time right now? So I know it's been this weird situation of limbo for a lot of my colleagues, and it's that I think makes it another reason why it's a bit hard for people to stay motivated. Is it's hard to plan for the future when you don't know what your future is going to be.
For sure.
No,
Thank you, Christopher.
no problem.
And the second one is the three things that you'd like to share with our audience today.
Yeah. So, I mean, on the topic of staying motivated and taking care of yourself and your mental health, as you know, of course, mental health is super important to me and has been for quite a while. And the points I want to share with the audience today are 100%, 110% on mental health. And just kind of to give the audience a little bit of a background with my experience with mental health first. I lost my mother, unfortunately, to suicide in 2018 in fall. She had been diagnosed with bipolar type 2 disorder for a large majority of my life, and I kind of grew up supporting her and, our family supporting her and around that whole space that mental illness creates. And so for her, it was really difficult trying to fight an illness in sort of a society that still was rife with a lot of stigma and kind of this nervousness and almost this shame about talking about mental health and addressing it for what it was. And so for her, I know that she found it difficult to find the resources and kind of the support structure that she really desperately needed. And unfortunately, as a result of that, she's no longer with us. And I mean, she's in a better place, and I know that she's happy, smiling down on all of us. But it is something that I think about the situation that happened with her, and I can't help but wonder, if it had been a physically apparent illness like a cancer diagnosis or heart attack symptoms or something different, would she have received more attention, more care? And so that's kind of why I'm doing everything in my power to talk about mental health and talk about her story, and start an open dialogue with anyone that I can, because I think it's something that's really important that we discuss and be open about, because you never know who you're reaching out to and whose lives you're saving by speaking openly about it. So after that big, long story, the first point I kind of wanted to leave with the audience is exactly what I'm doing right now: talk about mental health. It's very important, I think, that we are open about how we are doing mentally, and we don't get caught in this kind of expectation that you always have to be okay. And you always have to give the response, oh no, I'm doing great, I'm doing well, I'm doing fine. I think we've reached the point in our society where we are moving past that sort of facade, and we're okay admitting, no, maybe mentally I'm not doing that great today. Maybe I'm a bit down, maybe I'm feeling depressed, maybe I'm struggling. And I think that the more that we talk about it and the more that we have open dialogues with our family, our friends, our colleagues, those around us, the more we start to normalize it. And I think that is one of the most essential things we can do as people right now, is normalizing the conversation about mental health. And then we serve to remove the stigma and the shame that surrounds it, which is great in my mind. Kind of to lead off of that, in the conversation, point number 2 I've always thought is really important is that our stories and the words that we can share about mental health have a lot of power behind them. And I think a lot of people don't realize that their own personal stories and connections to mental health really do have an impact on the people around them. When I was working in healthcare administration at a physiotherapy clinic, shortly after I returned to work once after my mother had passed away, I was having a conversation with a colleague, and she, of course, was asking me, how are you doing? How have things been since your mom passed away? And I was talking to her, and I said, she's in a better place, and I knew what she was going through. I knew how she suffered, and it's not my place to resent her or feel bad for the decisions she made. And what I learned from the experience is that our time on this earth, of course, is very fleeting, and it is important to tell the people in your life how much you love them and how much they mean to you and how close you are to them, because you don't know how much time you have left. And that kind of little small dialogue I had with her and that little story prompted her to go out into her car and call up a relative who she hadn't talked to in ages, and talk to them about how much she loved them and missed them. And I think that experience, even though it was quite small, really made me realize, oh, you know what? Our words have so much power. We don't realize it, but they really do. And we can use our stories and our experiences with anything, and I mean, especially with mental health, to inspire people around us to create community, to create connection, and to make it so that our, like I said in the first point, mental health, we start to remove that stigma around it. We start to remove that shame. And I think, kind of, I guess, to summarize the whole thing, point number 3, it is never too late to be an advocate. There's never a bad time to start advocating for mental health. You're never too young, you're never too old, you're never too inexperienced, and never too poor, no connections. It doesn't matter. You can always contribute in some way, whether that is volunteering with various organizations in your hometown or city, even doing a quick Google search online to find out what are the counseling resources around you, what are the organizations around you that need volunteers in a mental health capacity, what's available to you. It's a really quick and easy thing to do. And even if you're someone who struggles with volunteering or getting out there in the community, just talking about it. Like I've said this whole time, just talking about it, connecting with those around you, and telling your story is advocacy itself. I know for me, quite a long time after my mom passed away, I was really unsure what the best way I could contribute to mental health was, and had looked up a lot of these different organizations, but I just found I was still very drained and kind of fresh from that situation, and volunteering in the community wasn't something that was working for me at the time. I'm happy that it is now, of course, but but at that time I kind of thought, I don't think I can put myself out there quite yet, but the way that I can connect is to talk. And that in itself, I think, was its own form of advocacy. And I think that is something that no matter who you are as a person and what capabilities you have, we are all able to talk and to call up a friend and have a conversation about mental health and just connect with each other. And slowly but surely, we'll build an army of people who are ready to rally for the support of everyone suffering from mental health, everyone supporting anyone with mental health. We're gonna generate more resources, more attention, more awareness, and I can only be excited about where the future for mental health is headed. And I'm so happy to see where we'll go with it.
Christopher, and you know what I love? I mean, I've known you, well, your whole life.
That's true.
And you were such a cute boy. Oh my gosh, so cute.
How time has changed. I'm not so little anymore.
No, you're handsome now. Totally.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, dear friend.
And Christopher, you've always been such a kind and loving being, and how you show up in the world, how you communicate, you've always been that person. So I think I very tragic with your mom. She was such an amazing person and a good friend to me too. So tragic, and yet you've always had this amazing attitude through it all, and you're an inspiration to me, and I'm delighted that you're on with me today. Thank you for doing this again.
No problem. I'm so delighted to be here with you too.
Thanks, Christopher. And then of course, the last one, it's a good news or legacy story. So how would you like to close?
Yeah, I think that, I'm still 27 years young, so I don't have, this kind of resplendent legacy that I'm ready to leave behind yet. But I think that when I think about what I want to do with, my life, and if I was to leave a legacy behind, I just want to know that the work that I have done has made a positive impact on other people, and that I have done whatever I can to support those around us with mental health issues and those who are supporting people in mental health, and that I've contributed my story and my mother's story to the open dialogue and conversation. And I think that's the legacy that I'm attempting to leave, is just to connect and create open dialogues in whatever way, in whatever space I can. And if even one person at the end of the day, by the work that we do, has been touched or, chooses a different path, or is, manages to realize they're not alone and that there is a network of people around them that are supporting them, then I will personally think that the work that I have done is good. So
Yes, already you're making a positive impact, Christopher, and I just know that there's big plans for you in the future, and I look forward to applauding from the peanut gallery.
No, I want you right there with me, Catherine.
Well, I'll be there. I'll support, but
perfect.
No, I'd rather be too icy every day. Thank you, Christopher. I love you with all my heart. I'm so glad that we did this today, and I look forward to, well, being on email in 5 minutes or so.
Oh, absolutely. I look forward to editing this video.
Ah, perfect.
Thank you so much, Catherine.
Thank you. Everybody, that was Christopher Friesen. What a wonderful young man. I am so blessed to call him my friend and colleague, and we look forward to producing many more of these. See you on the next one.